Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Retro Encounter. As always, I'm Josh Curry. With me is Chris Gebauer,
Hello!
Alana Hagues,
Hey there!
and for the first time, Stephanie Sybydlo.
Hi!
Yay!
Woo!
It's terrible.
And you picked a good episode to start on, Stephanie, because this marks the 1-year anniversary of Retro Encounter. Yay!
Oh, wow.
Oh!
Happy anniversary!
Time difference applies when you're having fun.
Yeah, or something. This is also the 15th game we've covered, which is kind of weird. I know it doesn't match up with a year, but crazy number things. But we are here to talk about a very exciting game that we've danced around for many episodes, and that is Legend of Zelda. And this time we'll be talking about Majora's Mask. Let's put our masks on and try to solve some side quests.
Yay, fetch quests!
Do, 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 do.
Everyone's playing this on 3DS, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that
I keep
goes without
hoping
saying.
someone's gonna turn on the N64 version and see, especially if they didn't have that little upgrade for the system, how choppy this game was.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
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 The frame rate was really, really rough if you didn't have the whatever that thing was, the
The
bit
expansion
upgrade.
pack.
And the expansion, thank you, that's what I'm looking for. That's the
God.
term.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I love that the system needed that thing.
Yeah.
Just for
Late
the
gen
truth, it
games.
wasn't as good as the other system that was out at the time.
Oh, the N64 was lovely.
You do get a few of the benefits, though, playing the N64 version over the 3DS. I'm pretty sure we'll have some good changes, or, yeah, good chat about that.
Yeah, so this is my first time through, and it's kind of a slightly overwhelming game because there's just a lot going on, and then you add in the time structure, and it just makes it slightly stressful. And so just kind of structurally to make sure I was getting through it, I was looking at IGN's walkthrough, and just
Yeah.
kind of as just like a time record of it does a great job showing that it has little breakout boxes like this is different for the 3DS. And so I very quickly stopped using the guide, but I always kept the page up and I would look for those boxes because it was really fascinating to see what they changed, and it seemed like they streamlined a lot of the game mechanics to make it so it wasn't as annoying.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
they did.
actually really like that about the HD versions of this game is, they did take out a lot of the kind of smaller, irritating nuances. It just kind of made repeat playthroughs a bit annoying.
I mean, even in Ocarina of Time, they changed the water temple, right? It's
Yeah.
like whatever
Yeah, they
people
did.
really hated or really got annoyed by, they were like, tweak, tweak, tweak. Have fun. It's prettier now.
They
It's
tweaked
still-
Wind Waker to be like twice as fast,
Yeah, wow.
just in terms of sailing, so that was also a good change.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the water temple's still really annoying on the 3DS, though. Just not as annoying.
I'm one of those people who loves that temple.
Oh, yeah,
I very hate it.
it's just slow, I think. But yeah.
The boot mechanic was just stupid, but I guess that's a different game.
Yeah, it's true. But
Yeah.
it was annoying. But different. It was different, and that made it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Why not? Why not?
An unprecedented water temple for the first time in the series, anyway. It wasn't like, you drown in the deep water kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Josh, this all makes sense to you because you play every Zelda game.
Yeah, because there's water in temples, and there's a fire temple, and there's a wind temple, and
Is it a grass or nature related
Uh-huh.
one?
A sandy temple?
Yeah. I was gonna go with stone, but that seemed a little too crazy for him.
A dark temple?
Yeah, of course, because
To be complimented by light.
You always have to fight a Dark Link, right?
not always.
Always.
So yeah, well, we should probably cover that. 'Cause I mean, I know I'm the only one that barely has any experience with the series, but I think in some ways, to fully appreciate Majora's Mask, you need to have at least experienced Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I think it makes a huge difference if you've been able to play that one first.
I'm just trying to piece together Zelda history really quickly. That was Majora's Mask was the first kind of sequel as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
where you can clearly see characters from the previous game. Because yeah,
So thanks, guys, for picking a game that I would have zero history with, on top of not usually liking the series. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
we're looking out for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think there's obviously touch points that I will not understand, and we were talking about it before the podcast, and you were naming things of so and so was in the game of this and did this, and I was like, I have no idea. But I don't think it's crucial to the experience. I think if you came in somehow and had zero understanding of who Zelda was and her relationship with Link, maybe you'd be a little confused because they have like the flashback with the ocarina when you first get it, and that would seem super throwaway. But beyond that, I haven't felt terribly lost about kind of like the logistics of where he is and what he's doing.
Which I like, though, it's great when a Zelda game actually deviates from the, kind of center plot of, the
Yes.
board and the villain, and kind of complicates it up. I mean, like Link's Awakening was also.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it. I was getting there. Oh, you just made me so happy. I felt like I just got.
I really, really hope the NX or the new Wii U Zelda, does the same, because it'd be great to get away from that. It has been great to get away from that anytime they do it.
Yeah, and usually they're both Link's Awakening and this were more experiments than like complete Zelda projects where it's like, let's try something different and see what happens. And, okay.
And it worked.
And it worked really well.
It did, but it didn't. I mean, I think there's kind of revisionist history on how good Majora's Mask is. I mean, I remember back at the time, like, I had to argue with all my friends about how, like, Metal Gear Solid was a better game than Ocarina of Time. And I remember just, like, going to school and being so happy that Majora's Mask had come out because all of my friends hated it. And I feel like that was, like, the general view on the game back in the day, and then all of a sudden we just, like, crossed a point and everybody was like, oh yeah, I love Majora's Mask. And I was like, I don't remember you saying that ever before.
No, but the Zelda series is a funny history like that, where, it starts out, everybody hates it, then everybody kind of revises their opinion on it and starts loving it.
I'm waiting for that with Skyward Sword.
Oh, I
I know that's coming.
know. There's a combo breaker right there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I haven't even played that game. I just feel like that's not going to happen.
No, I think it's safe to say that's not going to happen. But again, that we were talking about having a deviation from the typical type of Zelda that seemed to not do that. And I think a lot of times there's just an initial knee-jerk reaction of, this is not my Zelda game. Why'd you do this to me? And that kind of overwhelms them realizing that it's actually a legitimately good game.
Sounds like a weird campaign slogan. This is not my Zelda. Hashtag.
Fight the power.
If there's that issues with a female Link or whatever, that sounds like the hashtag they'll use. This is not my Zelda.
Linkle?
Oh.
Linkle, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I really just hope the next Link is a girl. Good God.
I don't see that happening.
I don't either. But it would actually make the series interesting again.
Yeah.
No, it would be interesting if you just played as Zelda the whole time.
Or that.
Agreed.
Yeah. That
For
was
do that.
great.
some reason, Link is stuck as a Deku boy or whatever that little tree boy thing is. And he's stuck surrounded by a lake and she has to go save him.
Yeah, he's just trapped because he can't swim.
He can only bounce 5 times for some stupid reason.
Damn it, I can't train for the 6th one. I just can't reach it.
And they do cutaways as cutscenes of just him bouncing across the water and having to go back.
And mourning the fact that he can't go farther.
Yeah.
No!
And then Zelda goes on a completely different adventure that saves the world and then happens to, on her way back, come across this lake and saves him.
They really put him in the periphery there.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Forgot about
Somehow
you.
he gets the credit, though.
Oh, of course. That's
Yeah.
how it always is.
Be honest.
But then he's
Yeah.
going to rewind and be a little boy and nobody's going to remember it anyways.
Yeah, true.
It was all a dream.
But let's actually dig into Majora's Mask now that we talked. I guess that's our history with the series, right?
Oh yeah.
So everybody's already played Majora's Mask. I'm just going to make sure that everybody else has done that, right?
Yep.
Yeah? Chris?
You mean like played it through to the end, or just played it?
Either or either.
Okay, yes, I've played it as in now, but I've never actually beaten this game.
Yeah, never beaten it, but played it.
I've beaten it. We're good.
You're good
Ooh.
old friends with Majora's Mask.
Good old friends, yes.
Yeah.
We've had side chats.
Super good.
So yeah, it's hard for you guys to kind of be put in the shoes of, hey, this is overwhelming, but I personally hate time limits in games. Like, give me a escort mission, a follow mission, or a mission with a time mechanic, and I am like immediately pissed off. The only nice thing is I knew going into it the time mechanic existed. But
So you were prepared.
yeah, the first 3 days though are really stressful because of that, and on top of that, I knew about it ahead of time, so that I was okay with this regard. But it doesn't save you for the first 3 days. But at least when you get the ocarina, you have the slow time mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
That's helpful.
It helps so much.
I think the game's unplayable if you don't know that.
That's one thing that's always bugged me, yeah.
And a stupid little dancing tree is the one that tells you. It's like, it'd be so easy
really
to miss that.
Stupid dancing tree. It's a scarecrow.
Oh, fine. Stupid dancing scarecrow. Fine. But like I had already plugged that in because I don't remember. This is back when it came out on the 3DS originally. I remember the Giant Bomb guys talking about it, and that's when it was mentioned. And out of everything, that stuck out in my head, thankfully. But it wasn't until I had to reverse time because I was screwing around in the Clock Town and just doing like finding all the masks and doing all the heart pieces and whatnot. And so it wasn't until I was ready to leave that I finally heard about that. I was like, I've gone through like 4 cycles at this point. I'd have been really pissed off if I had been trying to do this whole time without the slowdown mechanic. Oh.
It's probably really key for like the later dungeons too, where you'll be finishing it on the 3rd day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing feels really shoehorned in. I wish they kind of made that a bit more of a plot element instead of a scarecrow or tree man teaching it to you.
Stupid.
Yeah, with every kid being like,
Should've
hey,
been.
you should go talk to that thing in the observatory that dances. I think it'll be useful for you.
Hands.
Thanks, children.
That's how all.
No.
So I only play Zelda games up to the first 2 to 3 hours. So that seems like always my experience though is like the dialogue is terrible and they make sure to bold and color words so you know that you're supposed to do it, and then everybody repeats it, and then as soon as you take a step away, a fairy pops out and reminds you that you're supposed to do it, and then you're like, all right, well I'm gonna go put some gold in a bank or something, and you walk 2 more steps and the fairy pops out and is like, yo, you should go talk to this tree thing. I don't want to talk to the tree thing. But that, like, I think that's one of the main reasons I've never really gotten farther in a Zelda game is the first couple hours are always just, they're painful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, the N64 Zeldas.
Well, Ocarina of Time is a little different. I didn't own a 64 because I had a good system that had fun games on it. And so I only played Ocarina when I was at friends' houses,
Yeah, same.
but
But I played the hell out of it when I was at friends' houses.
I always played the first boss, and then I found something better to do.
Yeah, you always beat that spider every
Spider,
time.
I have that spider on lock.
So,
Like that's super
yeah.
easy.
Wow, it's kind of sad that I went through the same thing, and then one day I sat down and was like, I'm gonna beat more of this game.
Well, that's
playing.
I tried to be like, hey, let's play Ocarina for the podcast. We're like, no, that sounds terrible. So I put on like a throwaway vote of Majora's Mask because no other Zelda game had ever gotten a vote, and immediately it wins. Like, oh, that sounds about right.
It's unique.
Yeah.
It's different.
And it definitely is unique. Once you get past those first 3 days, I think something that kind of struck all of us when we were talking beforehand was all the side quests, all the tracking of them. Like when you get that notebook specifically, the combination of the ocarina and the notebook kind of opens the game
so
up.
much better. Yeah.
Makes it enjoyable.
And it lets you, if you're not actually just being able to sit down and play this game and only this game, it allows you to take time away, come back and go, okay, what do I need to do? All right, that's right, I spoke to that person, and that gives me the ability to, pursue that mask, or, there's this old woman that I couldn't help as a Deku scrub. Maybe I can help her when I'm human. Okay, what time of day was that? I can't imagine not. I mean, was the journal part of the N64? Was it that in depth, or is that a new thing for the 3DS? Steph, do you?
I don't know. I barely played on the N64.
So yeah, I feel like the 3DS version just made it so much easier for all of us just to A, play, and B...
Being honest, I actually didn't use it that much. I had a pretty good like mental calendar in my head of what to do.
Good for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Expert.
Yeah, I actually haven't
I
thus
just
far.
saw the questions through as I went through them, so I didn't really have to keep referencing back.
Cool.
I haven't found it super helpful to have it thus far, because usually I go and do something because I've talked to people or I remember it, and then I'm done with the quest, and that's when my journal pops out and be like, you completed this. And I'm like, all right, well, thanks for tracking that.
Yeah, same here. If like the quests went on like the entire game long, then that'd be different. But since it's more of like a 3-day mechanic where it's like you can get it done in one shot, then I was like, But it's good to have. It's still good to have that reference and timeline and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still used it, but not
sure.
nearly as much as I've heard some people give it credit for.
And I think you bring up a really good point, Chris, is if you were taking breaks, I think it'd be much more beneficial. But since we have to kind of go through this at a decent clip, well, I was playing this last night, or I was playing this a couple hours ago. If you're forgetting at that point, it's kind of more sad on you than the game's part.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's good for the schedule, but for the actual quest, I find it kind of annoying. Like the big Deku guy that has a flower in Clocktown.
Mm-hmm.
You go through and you feel like you complete the quest because you go and get the tier, you bring it back, you get the deed. You're like, all right, well that's completed, right?
I know it's the jargon of a lot of players, but I love how painfully slow that cutscene is every single time. I think it's deliberate because they're trying to play up on him being just that kind of character. They did shorten it in the 3DS version, I recall, but yeah, they always made it very slow.
Yeah.
That is one thing I will say, that as much as the 3-day cycle can be annoying, and it surely is frustrating to keep going back and forth for a lot of people for these quests, it does familiarize you with this whole cast in the town, and you do learn their personalities very quickly and with a lot of detail, because you're like, okay, this person likes this person's crazy in that way, and there's a lot more charm in the actual cast of characters within the town than in a lot of Zelda games.
The Zelda series is really good for that. I mean, I'm hard-pressed to really think how the lack of very unique NPCs, because I think most of the time they're all very unique NPCs in the game. There's no, like, doubles, really.
Sure, but I don't find that you have to be that involved with most of them.
Yeah.
That, unless for very specific quest moments, like, you don't need to do a lot of the helping around town. That's just available to you for masks and other stuff. You should do it, but you don't have to do everything.
Which is a plus. Like I feel like a lot of times RPGs get so bogged down in, hey, the world's gonna end, but go do this, this, and this. And I was like, well, that's not actually important. And this kind of embraces that there is this other stuff going on. You could go and do it. It will possibly kind of help you out. But if you
Final Fantasy VII has a meteorite in the sky while you're trying to get best weapons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This one, at least, the threat is always constant and always there, and always kind of like there at the end.
Yep.
Always aggressive. It's like the most aggressive looking moon ever.
Screen shakes when it moves.
It scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Why is it so mad? What did I do?
Because he wants to eat the world.
You're not even eating it. You're just slamming right into it.
He just wants to kiss it. He just wants to kiss people.
Burrow right in there.
Yeah, just get right there. That's what he's trying to do. It's all about love. That's what this is.
Yeah. So the game kind of becomes just repetition of replaying these same 3 days, which I first found really refreshing. That I went very quickly into. This is annoying because I had to redo something a couple times. But then it kind of like switched in my head that it almost reminds me of a roguelike, where like kind of like Binding of Isaac, where you're still going through those same levels, you're still going through that same progression, but you're streamlining each time. And then if you happen to finish something, then it kind of like sheds off, and so it's nice because there's that persistence level. I guess persistence level almost more like Rogue Legacy in that regard. And I don't know, like that little switch in my mind of thinking of it more of like a roguelike than an adventure game. made it so that repetition was much more enjoyable to me. And it's not something you typically think of as like a Zelda kind of term to attach to it, but it really struck me as a new age roguelike. Nothing?
Yes.
Nobody agrees?
No, I mean it definitely has the feel of having to go through it again and again and again. There isn't I don't know, just in terms of a roguelike, I don't feel like it's hard to compare it because you're not having to start completely from square one. There's much more. I guess it's more of like a Rogue Legacy.
That's what I'm saying, like a new age roguelike.
Yeah.
I think in the
okay.
last couple of years
Yeah.
they've kind of switched to. They understand that players get frustrated if they have to redo everything. And so there is a level of persistence that you're able to attain. You can put your money in the bank,
Yeah,
that'll get
I'll
saved.
go with that.
If you fully complete something, you get a mask, you get whatever.
And then that's a permanent thing. Yeah.
Right.
You keep the most important things, and
Right.
you got your knowledge for the next time around.
Right.
And you can bank.
Knowledge
yeah.
is power.
No, just power.
Yeah. But at the same time, so during that transition towards thinking of it as a roguelike, and that point that I was a little frustrated, I know we've talked about Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter on this podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same process as you keep repeating things over and over again. But you have a much greater permanence of gaining in levels, and so you always feel like you're able to go farther because there's not that time constraint. And so I was kind of warring for a little bit of which style I preferred. Because I like the idea of leveling up. I like the idea of I'm moving farther each time, not because I understand it better, but because I'm actually more powerful. In a lot of regards, you don't get more powerful in Majora's Mask, you just get more knowledgeable. And going back to our new coined phrase, knowledge is power. So that's really what makes you stronger than actually being legitimately stronger as a character.
Yeah, I like
Agreed.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's definitely a great new take on the whole Zelda formula. Again, it's an experiment, and I think it really worked out very well. From what I remember, it was also partially inspired by real life, where they were given a strict deadline to work on the game. So they came up with that 3D mechanic. Yeah, so and a lot of the reused assets just kind of became inspired by just this whole deadline that they were working within.
So
And
the moon in that case is their crappy boss.
Maybe there's some metaphor going on there.
The ultimatum.
Well, didn't they say the happy mask salesman looks like Miyamoto?
Really?
Yeah.
That's made it even creepier.
His horrid
he's got that
eyes.
same, big wide grin, and kind of shut eyes and, rubbing his hands together kind of thing. It's just, yeah.
The way they edited that first interaction with him is awesome and weird and fantastic, and how it just cuts to him in random poses.
Yes.
Yeah.
For no reason. You're like, well, how do you get there? How do you get in that position?
They don't really ever show him moving. Yeah, he's just kind of like, even when it's not even changing, the angle of the scene, it's just him moving from one pose to strictly to another one the next frame.
Seeing
like
it
a
30
strobe
seconds
light.
later. Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's a very unsettling character. I think he's the greatest thing, one of the greatest things in the series for sure. Just because he's so weird.
Mask
no,
Boy.
it's totally Tingle.
Mask Boy.
Oh,
I really enjoy the crazy little guy floating around and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, Tingle's weird.
And that's
34.
I think at all times, I'm just gonna say this from Majora's Mask. I don't feel like this in so much regards with other Zelda games, but I think Majora's Mask specifically oozes charm.
Mhm.
I find the setting, I find the masks, I find the moon, as creepy as it is. There's just a lot of little pieces that are very, very charming, and it's funny because they rip a lot of the assets from Ocarina of Time, but I never got that same charming feel from Ocarina.
It's a very
Yeah.
sad atmosphere,
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100%. Like, people are just going about their day-to-day lives, stuck in whatever their in this Groundhog's Day variant of just like whatever's been bothering them or what's going to happen, and then you look up at the sky, and it's like, oh, it's
They
closer.
got their problems and they got the
Coming.
moon in the sky.
Yeah, and you gotta help people. You gotta get everyone's problems done before time runs out.
Yeah, so just the kind of atmosphere it paints from the very beginning, there's problems in the sky, there's problems, in their day-to-day lives.
There's
death,
this twisted
central
kid.
element and theme to the game. It's just not a happy game, and it's great that you're kind of make do.
Yeah, and I do have to say, I mean, maybe this is getting into what we should be talking about at the end, but there's this awesome fan theory that the whole game is after the point where Link falls down the tree. It's the whole rest of the game is his death, and he has to save everything and has to fix everything in this town before he can finally actually die. It's like his version of Limbo. And I've always dug that for this game. I've always dug that for this game. I know it's a weird to be like, and it's all a dream, Josh.
I hate that.
But
just like recently, like everybody's been like super like Harry Potter's 7 years at Hogwarts was all like him in a coma after he ran headfirst into a brick wall at like the train station. I'm like,
oh really?
What are you guys doing? Like, just leave it alone.
Let
him go on a small adventure with crazy masks.
But the reason why I'm not saying it's what I totally believe, but what I like about that theory is, per Steph's point, there's something weirdly oppressive just ever present in this game. It's not just the time limit and the moon, it's just everything feels slightly off. When you put on the Deku mask, Link isn't happy. It sounds like he's having this horrible
painful.
werewolf
every mask
transformation.
sounds like he's in pain.
And that's really creepy. And you have to put them on again and again and again, and it feels like you're torturing this kid if you don't skip the little cutscene.
And not to spoil like a future item, but like the mirror shield in this game too, right? It doesn't have that same kind of crest on it like it did in Ocarina of Time, but it's got just a really kind of creepy face on it.
Yep. Everything's
just
off in this game.
And it's facing you for the whole rest of the game while you have this creepy mirror shield on your back.
Yeah.
It's like the best way to scare you is by like subtly hinting at things, which Majora's Mask does really well. Yeah, that's the most obvious thing about it, but the moon is like not even the worst thing about it. Like you said, the Mask Man and Skull Kid's strange as well.
It's bizarre. I don't know what the backstory. If the game goes into more backstory for that kid, I'm excited. 'Cause I want to know where he came from. Why are you?
Who, the mask salesman?
No, the Skull Kid.
Oh.
Outside of the fact that he's picked on and sad and lonely, I hope they give me a little bit more. Doesn't have to be a lot. I just want to know where that kid came from. What part of the world did he crawl out of?
Woods.
Pardon?
The Lost Woods.
Yeah, but
that's all you need to know.
is that it?
That's all Zelda will give you. It will not give you, the origin of the origin. Even Skyward Sword didn't answer everything.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't need everything. Yeah, right. Gotta write my own thing.
Yep.
Future
Fanfiction unite.
See, so the darkness of the world, I kind of viewed it as comparable to Alice and going through the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
And so it's
Alice is Wizard of Oz kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a bastardization of his world.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it weird.
Yeah.
For sure. And for people, if you're coming off of, like we said, Ocarina, it's all these reused assets, but just slightly different.
And that makes it even worse. Is like we've talked about this for sure on the podcast before. Like what makes horror is taking what is known and making it twisted or terrible.
Yep.
And that's kind of it plays up the dark element of this. Is you're taking something that is absolutely known because everybody that loves Zelda loves. Well, I can't say that, but for the most part, everybody loves Ocarina, and everybody played it probably dozens of times, or at least a couple times going into Majora's Mask, and then they took what was so familiar to those individuals, and they're twisting it. And you're taking those dark mechanics, and it's making it even extra oppressive because you took something that was so loved and making it dark.
I think it's great that they didn't actually, reuse any of the, kind of backstories of the Ocarina of Time characters. It's completely fresh.
Yeah.
No connection. They did their best to just kind of leave Ocarina where it was.
Which was weird for me the first time picking this up, because I would look at, like you said, reused assets, we're going back to it, but you see people that I think, oh, you're from that town. You're from Kokiri Village or something like that, and then you speak to someone and clearly it's totally different.
Yeah, the most obvious is the Witch Sisters. Like the
for
fact
sure.
that you had to fight them in Ocarina of Time, and then you talk to them, and they're completely.
Yeah.
They don't.
Kind of like
they
the
don't
Aunt
know.
Patty
Nice.
of the Zelda
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Just kind of dependent on each other.
Kindly old women.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's like dependent. It's got things from Ocarina of Time, but it's entirely dependent on itself as well. So it's its own flavor of Zelda.
And it has every mini game you could ever think of.
Oh, all the shooting games, all of them.
Every single one.
Yep, and the racing ones. Like, how many racing ones? There must be like 4, maybe. I don't know. I haven't. There's a Goron one, definitely. I'm probably
I
exaggerating.
Beaver one. I hate those stupid beavers.
Oh yeah.
As a Canadian, it hurts me to say that sentence.
Oh god, it's like some war crime she's committed. How dare you?
Are you gonna be exiled now?
Knocking at my door.
Yeah, right. You need to leave.
This is not okay.
Put shame upon the beaver population. But talking about
Goron racing was fantastic.
I was gonna say that the Goron racing I did actually not hate, but I was surprised about the Deku racing one when you get out of the temple and they're like, "Oh, we got a prize for you. Just got to talk to the butler." It's like, "Okay, I'll talk to him." I was like, "Why is he running away from me?" I guess I should follow him. And then after a few seconds of me figuring out what's going on, being like, "Why do I have to chase you? I just helped you."
It's not a race. That's just an obnoxious way. Hey, come with me. And
I know.
Get stuck. Like, come on.
It's like, I don't need the hook shot again.
Some slackjack. That whole bit with the butler though was really sad though.
Yeah, and then he tells you about his kid, and you're like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
Yeah, that's a kind of weird hint drop, just a weird thing to kind of say in thin air.
Right.
When, like, oh.
You got to remind me of my child. Thanks, mister.
Do you remember, like, at the beginning of the kind of weird passageway sequence, though, you actually do run into a sort of Deku tree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's there, and it looks sad. Again, it just looks like it's in pain. And it's not moving, and you kind of connect the two. Do you connect the two? Do you remember?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's. I didn't even think that would directly be the same person, but of course, it very much could be. And
I like it when video games don't really spell it to you like that, though.
So you are a Dark Souls fan?
Oh, I guess I should play Dark Souls more.
I should play Dark Souls.
I know.
Stop, Josh. Stop. Everyone play these games.
Play what makes you happy, but Dark Souls will not make you happy. That I can promise you.
You shut your mouth. That's what you do.
Are you going to readily admit, on the record, that you are generally happy while playing Dark Souls? For sure, during your first time that you ever played it.
Yeah, I actually was fascinated by everything when I played Demon Souls for the first time. I thought it was awesome. And to me, those games are just giant. Everything is a puzzle in the weirdest of ways. Every encounter. And you got to figure it out. And even if it's about cheesing the system, it's remarkable. But I've also played now every single one of them and tried to 100% them because I'm a little obsessed.
So I know this is a complete tangent, but I think that's part of the problem now with all the Souls games and like the Bloodborne. Like, in a lot of ways, the evangelists of the series, you can't have a conversation with them if you haven't experienced the game before. Because there's just a disconnect, because it's like, alright, well, yes, sure, this seems like easy for you, or explained, or like that they actually tried to make good combat in a game, but you can't even have a conversation with them because they've been doing it now for a decade almost.
For a while. Like. No, it's wholly its own thing, and if it clicks, it's just, there's nothing like it, and it's its own drug. But it took a while. I mean, I remember, like you said, separate conversation. But it is hard to adjust to that world of combat. But goddamn, do I love it.
Of bad controls?
Sure. I can see that for some people. I really can. It can be janky as hell, but I do love it.
Janky and slow. But back to Majora's Mask.
Tangents.
Yep, that's Retro O'Connor.
That's what we do.
So we kind of talked about the first 3 days. Why don't we jump into the temples?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. They're pretty cool dungeons.
Yeah, the temples are really, I think, the highlight of Zelda games. I really like the temple designs. I really like the bosses. They're quite different in Majora's Mask. Sorry, they're like the second boss, Goat, is quite famous for being one of the best bosses in Zelda, and I really liked it because it's not like you're trying to slash it with a sword and like, oh look, there's its weak point. Yes, you have to expose the weak point, but you're rolling around as a Goron, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna hit the thing. And then,
for the repeats, for the repeat bonuses.
Oh yeah,
there's a few side quests that you need, like the perfect Goron mountain weather. So
that's right.
Yeah, but so made it a fun one.
Yeah, but the temples are really good. I like the temples in Zelda games, and I think Snowhead and Woodfall Temple are both quite good. I like them. They're not overly frustrating. I like the way they implement the new mechanics that you get. So you have to use the Lens of Truth and the Goron Mask, for example, for the Snowhead, but they like test your abilities on those items, and I really like that. I think they're worth, like, most games should try and do that. It's like the best way to learn how to use them is to use them.
Yeah, to force you to actually figure out a way to make them work with your surroundings. It's also kind of just crazy to me how much more puzzle focused all these dungeons seem to me than having action. I mean, yeah, you have certain rooms where you have to kill creatures, but it feels so much more creative from like you said, figuring out how these new elements you've gotten get you through room to room and get you through the boss. I do have to say I love these dungeons. They're just fun to go through and figure out how to make everything work.
Yeah.
I got three of my big take-home points was I really appreciate Majora's Mask's, the fine line that it straddles between the length and difficulty of the dungeons, because they obviously have to keep in mind the 3-day mechanic, which could not have been easy. I do like the hints that they also have in Zelda games, but also Majora's Mask for tools. Like you'll see, not even an in-game example, but like just like a trail of snow going into the wall. It's like, oh, I got to use the Lens of Truth there.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good at kind of hinting things out. That, and I really like how they do this in a few Zelda dungeons, but a lot of the ones in this game do it very well, was when the whole kind of dungeon comes together. Like you finally hit a switch and it's like a shortcut to the main entrance.
Yep.
And that's just kind of all
very good.
So those were my 3 big things for, Majora's Mask's dungeons. I think they're very good, even despite the fact there's only 4, and despite the fact that, they play such a both big and small parts of the game. I think they're very well done.
No, and to both of your points about the time limit, I mean, they had to craft these pretty flawlessly for a speed run.
Yeah.
Of just do it in one sitting. And they work. Yeah, I mean, and they work brilliantly. And while you do sometimes get that feel of, oh my god, I'm going to run out of time, even with a few mistakes, it always feels like there's enough. Like, even if you have setbacks, it doesn't. I never had that feeling with these 2 temples where I would really need to start over.
That's true.
And go back to the beginning. It always felt like there was, even at the worst, just enough. Exactly. And that's pretty excellent design.
Yeah, it quickly transitions from, once you have the slow down the time mechanic, it transitions from stressful to it just kind of like dangles over you.
Yeah, foreboding of just constant.
It's very comparable to the moon. That it's sitting up there and you're always aware of it, but you always feel like you're okay, just enough okay, or you can just achieve it in time. So it could very easily be a mechanic that just is infuriating.
That's kind of sad about the game too, though. Like, this game is literally built on your failures, basically, that you couldn't save the world this time around.
Yeah, so do it again. Let's try again.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
I think there's somebody who actually counts it or something, isn't there? Or at the end of the game, they tell you how many times you have to reset.
Oh, really?
Really? I like that.
Yeah, wow. Scarecrows, it tells you how many times that you played the song a time. So, yeah, everything got... I almost cussed right there. Everything got effed up.
Yeah. So I had to try and save it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you imagine the psyche of the child that has to go through this again and again and again?
Well,
And talking to someone being like, hey, it's a great day 2 days before the festival. It's been like this for a year.
well, this poor Link.
Though he's been an adult in Ocarina of Time in a child's body.
I know, right?
It's kind of
This Link's life sucks.
life. Yeah.
We can't mince words on this. He did all of Ocarina in like no credit. Like went back to being a boy. Like has this huge thing with Zelda. She doesn't know who he is, and then he falls into this crappy world that has a moon that's going to destroy everything.
How he's not just a child having a cigarette at the end of the day is just beyond me.
Like a kid outside on the edge of town.
Like,
there's the game where Zelda saves the world. Is Link finally snaps because of all the pressure of saving everybody repeatedly.
Oh, and he's the final
Thanks
boss. She has to put him down.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
All I wanted was a thank you.
Just acknowledge me.
Stop
Teenage
calling me
angst.
a little boy.
Seriously, it becomes this big teenage angst film. It's emo Link. You gotta
That's why
put
I
down
don't like
emo
silent
Link.
protagonists. I want to hear some some rebuttals to everything that's happening from the.
What you're saying that isn't enough to give you the depth of a character and the plumbing of his mind.
He's locked up in a room. You just hear the Link noises.
Yeah, right. What? Oh, he's excited again. That's what that means, I think. Or
It's a
he's
good day
jumping.
for him.
Not sure. Yeah, it's a good day. Just put the food under that little tray slot.
Stephanie, you brought up kind of hints of just like contextual hints, but beyond that, they also have, and I think this is unique for the 3DS version, they have that little creepy doorway that you can go in and just be like, here's where you need to go. Here's literally a video of what you need to do.
It's good. There's a few times I used it just for, I don't know, I just didn't want to look it up or, I just didn't really feel like kind of playing around. I was in school when I played it too, the first time, so I just didn't have the time. So I kind of really like when they implement that. You don't have to use it.
For sure.
And
Good for the new people.
Returning to what Chris, you said at the very beginning about how the notebook's kind of there if you take a couple days off. I actually think that little weird room is even more helpful.
Oh, it's super useful.
Because it's literally like, go here and the game will start up for you again.
No, but I like how it's still kind of, it's kind of like you're drunk where it doesn't give you the full, timeline of what to do.
Yeah.
Kind of just the bits and pieces that matter.
And then there was a kid on a roof. I gotta get to that roof. Oh, God.
Yeah, I like how it kind of just pieces together the main parts of the story without giving it all away. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I did like how they changed up some of the, some of them are good. They did change up some of the bosses between the Nintendo 64 version and the 3DS version.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
The first one with Alona, I forgot his name. I love that name, and I love the sound effects he makes. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
They are good.
Anyways, they actually changed his battle from, I think, pretty generic hack and slash to like a full Deku flower battle.
Really, that was a change? Because I love that battle. It took, I didn't realize some of the tricks right away, but that is awesome if they changed. Wow, cool.
What was your impression then from the 60? You're playing the 64?
No, I'm not. I've never played the 64. That's why I think that's awesome, because to me, I'm just going in at it first time, and I've been trying to ask friends who played the N64 version, what the differences were, and like talking about the reminder stone and all the rest of it. It's interesting to me that some of my friends have said what's weird going through on 3DS is the original game forced you to be so much more aware because there wasn't as much of a hint system, which is why certain people are so zealous about this game in terms of how much they love it, because if you beat it, you had to be invested because you had to pay so much more attention. So if you got all the way through, you knew everything because there was nothing there to help you figure it out. Whereas now there are those systems in place to kind of ease that obsession quality out of the game.
When you say it like that, I'm a bit more torn on the kind of helping hand, bit then.
Totally. That's why I was asking earlier.
Good to have run both ways then.
Yeah. And so I've used it a couple times because unfortunately I've had a few days off in between playing, but I've tried to avoid the hints, but
Yeah,
it is very easy to be like, oh well, I mean, I just want to speed this up and walk in and figure it out. But I don't want to do that. That was just more a question of time limit and being ready for today. So it's a weird thing, but I do like that they changed, especially if it's boss fights, because the one thing that you need in Zelda are good dungeons and good boss fights. And that, in any game can excuse many other issues. So if they change stuff, that's fantastic.
If you're going on that, then I think this game definitely exceeds, because it's got the good dungeons, the pretty good boss fights, and a stellar side quest, format.
It does. I mean, it's just a crazy game, and like we've said, in the best way possible.
People nod when they say it's their favorite Zelda game for that. I'm just like, you know what? Sure, yeah, it's actually very good.
I understand that it's different, it's special, but it has everything you love from the series in terms of the core tenets of what you expect.
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
I'd agree that it's becoming my favorite Zelda game.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It's not hard.
So he doesn't hate it as much.
Well, so as a caveat to that, I've almost beaten Phantom Hourglass, and then I've played like halfway through Spirit Tracks, and I've played the first 3 hours of Ocarina. So there's not a lot to compare to. And previous to this, I would have said Phantom Hourglass was actually my favorite game.
Okay.
Oh.
Which it was a fantastic game except for that tower. That tower is garbage. Yeah. But outside of that, I thought it was a fantastic game. And then you move into Spirit Tracks that fix the dungeon and then ruins the rest of the game, which is unfortunate. But so again, it's not a high bar. It's not like, hey, well, you didn't really like any of the other games. This is not your new favorite. But I can see the direction it's going, and I see a lot of qualities that I like in it, which is a huge change from the first couple hours. Not even really the first couple hours. Those first 3 days specifically that you play.
They're pretty brutal.
I hated the game.
Yeah, it's not the most fun at the beginning, but I will say to exactly what you just said, Josh. Kind of like with the last game, Nier, that I was on with Alana. It's got that. This game is chock full of I see what they're doing. And even if it doesn't work 100%, it's awesome that they're trying, and I love it for it. Like, even if I get annoyed by certain elements, I'm so glad they took that risk, or I'm so glad they tried to do this weird thing in this corner of the map.
Yeah, and it's off the cuff as well, so it's not following standards. Yeah,
of course.
So this is an outsider to the Zelda series. You bring up Nier, and Nier, I get why you draw that comparison, but Nier legitimately tried new, like really new things
out there. Yeah, for sure.
I think that's somebody that doesn't play Zelda games. It doesn't seem extremely out there. I understand where you're going with that.
For the series, it is.
For the series, it is. And so
one part of Nier literally spoofed the Zelda series, which I thought was funny. No.
What?
Which moment?
What are you talking about?
When you go to that temple with the mask people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Throws up his mask like Link does in the series.
Yeah, it makes the same noise, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it actually has like a whole kind of that.
Well, now you say it, I think when I was playing through Nier, I kind of felt like I'm like Josh, I'm like an outsider to the series. I've played probably 3 games, completed one of them, and yeah, I found that Nier was quite close to Zelda in terms of gameplay, like more hack and slash kind of, but like the adventure and the quest system and the kind of go back and forth, do things. There's always this sense of foreboding, the strange atmosphere. They're quite similar in that sense. But yeah, Nier does do a lot more out there stuff than Majora's Mask.
A bunch of genres. Like the whole Haunted Mansion thing looked like a Resident Evil game, even with the kind of fixed perspective, the Diablo sequence. Like, it was such a weird game.
You absolutely nailed it with that mask moment in Nier. You're right. That was a Zelda thing. I think we even talked about that. We forgot.
That was like 2 months ago. That was a while
ago.
It's like,
yeah, it was.
Dusting off my shoulders now. Thank you.
Exactly.
Actually, if I could go back for a bit, did you guys? I'm definitely a very artsy fartsy person, so I'm always looking at this kind of stuff. But did you guys also like the kind of chase introduction at the beginning, the kind of mysterious woods? Just a cool setup for a game.
Yeah, and you know something's bad is about to happen the second
it's familiar,
he's
but it's
slowly
still
clopping through those woods.
Yeah.
It's already just
song.
There's no real music. There's those few seconds of silence where you just hear the opponents clopping, and you just know something's about to turn.
And I like that, because how popular Ocarina of Time is, you see this very familiar start, and you get your hero, you get the horse, and then it just kind of throws you right, down into the looking glass kind of thing, and just into something completely foreign and completely strange and nothing expected.
Yeah, I wish I'd played this when I was younger, because I think the oh snap moment of being turned into the scrub would have messed with me so much. Especially for how long you have to be that scrub.
They really play with the visuals on that too. I like that kind of trippy sequence where you're kind of, getting stuck as a Deku scrub.
And
where you're just kind of getting
again, the horror of it, of just malformed. Oh god. I know if I'd played this as a kid, I'd be like, what happened? What's going on? Why am I a woodman? I want him to just be Link.
And he looks so sad about it too. He sounds sad. He looks sad. It's just it starts painting the precedence of the game very early.
Yeah, trying to communicate, and people just like smile at him like, you're cute. I guess I'll talk to you. And he's like, I can't use words.
And little do they know that even if he's a little boy, he still can't use words.
But I also like that, you start the game as you, but then you meet, the very mysterious, Skull Kid with the mysterious mask, and, not one fairy, but this guy's got two fairies. Like, what is happening here? Everything's...
What did he do to deserve the second fairy? Yeah. And then you find out how they met. Yeah, no, I do think the game does this wonderful job of parsing out its story, and it doesn't get bogged down by the cinematics. Yeah.
I would actually go the direction I would have liked more cinematics.
Really?
Yeah, because I agree with Stephanie. Like, the beginning is so striking, and I feel like since he can't interact verbally, I use those cutscenes almost to get a better idea of how he is feeling in the moment. And
Wind Waker did that really well. Then.
Agreed.
Sure.
Wind Waker
tends to be a bit more reactive to whatever the hell's going on.
I love that game.
Under its breath, he said.
No, I love that game. That's that and Link's Awakening are the two that I really, really love. But I do think that the reason why we're allowed that cutscene at the beginning is really just because of that time limit, and we don't have it yet. We haven't been introduced to those 72 hours, and so I feel like once we know we have a limited amount of time, cutscenes become frustrating, and Again, it's because of that little voice in the back of your head that's like, you've only got a day left. You've only got a day left. When there's a giant pause with a huge cutscene, it unfortunately breaks that. Ooh, that dynamic of just, I'm supposed to be rushing. I can't just take, 2 minutes to just watch this right now. We have to keep moving.
I actually really like that. We were talking about Breath of Fire, Dragon Quarter, and Majora's Mask, and how they both have a kind of similar counting down mechanic. And there's always that one point where you start the game with nothing there. It's just a blank spot in where there would be a timer. Then when you get into the world, or in Dragon's Quarter, when you get the dragon gene or whatever, it's there, but it's not active yet.
Right.
So yeah, in that case, you're still inside of when you meet the Happy Mask salesman, the kind of counter is there, but there's nothing on it. Then when you finally get into the world, then it finally starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of an interesting way to kind of slowly paint your involvement into the world.
Speaking of moments that I really like, I know it's super stupid, but one of my favorite parts is when you get to the end of a day and your screen slowly gets smaller.
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh,
and I know it's such it's almost a throwaway mechanic, but it builds that tension. It also, the first time it freaked me out because I didn't even notice, I didn't notice it the first couple days.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck happened in the screen?
Yeah.
Or how about the shake when the moon, every time it inches closer and the screen goes nuts.
Day. Yeah.
The screen getting smaller thing, though, I love how it's timed with the bell in the main town in Termina. So it's like a literal visual for time literally slipping away.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's so good.
I also just love the for who the bell tolls kind of mentality of just like, and
yes,
you are this much closer to the inevitability.
It treats
and
it
we
very
bring it
seriously.
again.
It's not very video game.
No.
You can still die from it, you know. It's just
Dark
really
screen.
Yeah.
36 hours remain.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Okay.
So I haven't tested this out, but I'm hoping one of you knows. So you get to the end of the time, and there's the countdown for like the 5 or 6 minutes. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
What happens if you don't do the Song of Time?
You haven't seen it?
I always do the Song of Time, and I don't see it then.
I know. Doesn't it kill you? Even though you know nothing will happen in real life, it still kills you to think what would happen.
Yeah. So
if you got countdown.
I always, as soon as it starts, I usually have everything wrapped up. So it's like, all right, well, Song of Time, boom.
YouTube it. It actually does show everything get destroyed.
Yeah. There's a game over.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I figure there had to be.
Just like you can't do
Not an
that.
easy
I just
watch.
wasn't willing to test it. 'Cause if I was a game designer and this is super screwed up, I would erase your save.
Oh, love it.
Oh,
That would. Oh, that'd be rad. That would be evil. That'd be
I
evil.
love it.
That'd be rad.
It's so evil, but it'd be so amazing. And like, I was like, if I designed it, this is what I would do. And I was like, no, not willing to test this.
Given that
I'm not taking that chance.
the ocarina. Yeah, no,
Oh,
but given how easy
God.
it is to whip out the ocarina and just, get it done, I think that's actually a cool idea. It'd be an excellent punishment.
It'd be completely your fault.
Yeah.
But imagine the one person who's at the end of the game and doesn't know that that's part of it, and they're like, "No, I'm so close to beating him. I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna try." And then they have to start all over again.
It'd be beautiful.
The letters they will write to you, Josh.
yeah, I would write a very angry letter.
You shouldn't have tested it out. You know.
It's your fault.
Yep.
You knew that the world would end.
You
and
knew the
your world
stakes.
ended.
You
Your
just
save
you
ended.
just let everybody die. That's terrible of you.
It's like,
I
you
did
can't play it,
nearly. I did nearly get to the moon crashing down. I just freaked out because I did Snowhead, and then I had about 5 hours to go on the in-game clock, and I think it's nearly like every half minute the bell goes, and I'm just sort of like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Looks
And I'm
like
like,
it's
Song
going
of
to
Time,
hell,
Song of Time.
Like the sky is red, the sky is red, the bell is going, the music especially
changed.
changes into that
Freak.
very scary tune.
Yeah, there's me running around as a Goron with this powder keg, like, it's gonna come down, it's gonna come down. Like, oh, that was so freaky. But I think I might check it out, definitely. Like, if I save it beforehand and then just fast forward time and be like, okay, bye, Termina.
See, saving wouldn't matter. It'd still be gone.
This time it does. You didn't design this game.
Actually, that's a good point, because we were talking about the first 3 days earlier and how they're very frustrating, which they are. But that first confrontation with Skull Kid at the top of the clock tower is awesome, because you have the numbers in huge, in full bold of how little time is left. And you get the ocarina back, and then maybe if you feel bold, you're like, I'm going to try doing the bubble thing again. And it does nothing. You're like, what do I do? There's that one. I mean, thankfully, just because there's a history with this game, I knew that you had to, play the song and all the rest of it. But there's that little part of me that was just dying a tiny bit. Like, you're helpless. This kid can't do anything to save the world. Like,
They do that a lot, though. They kind of paint the Deku Scrub as very helpless. Nobody really pays attention to him. They just kind of, oh, hey, it's a, shoo shoo.
Adorable little thing, but that's it. He's
you
just
can't
there.
because you look like a child,
Yeah.
Can't even join the bombers because he's a tree.
Yeah, can't leave town because you don't have a sword, because that means you're an adult, people.
Yeah, I love
Carry
that.
a sword.
Yeah.
Finally
Carry
trying to
a
leave.
sword.
And he's like, no, you can't leave, you're a boy. And I went at nighttime. He's like, it's scary out there. I'm like, okay. And I go to turn away and I was like, wait, you got a sword. Go ahead. I'm like, I'm still like 10. Like, why are you letting me leave? You're a terrible guardsman.
You have a sword. That means you're an adult.
Yep.
No question of where your parents are.
When you turn, a certain age.
Nope, not at all.
It's like a tiny sword as well.
It's a butter
Aw,
knife.
It's not the size of your sword, it's what you do with it.
True.
Yep, that's
On that
Retro
one.
Encounter. Do you guys have anything major you guys want to talk about, or are we gonna really end on the size of your sword?
Oh, good God.
Okay, the masks.
That made you 70. Oh, you're the best. How many masks did everyone get so far?
As soon as I could get them, I went and got them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have all of them in Clocktown or whatever. I think that you can get at the beginning. I don't know.
The bunny hood.
The bunny hood is the best thing ever.
Every game should have a bunny hood of its very own.
Yeah, well, there's so much fun in Smash Bros, so it's nice to actually play it, not Majora's Mask, and be like...
Fun.
And so Majora's Mask does not just become Zelda, Link rolling around in a field, it becomes Link is running around with a bunny hood. And occasionally rolling.
So cute! Our hero!
I think I've missed one of the masks. I've got the frog mask, that was the last one I got, but then there's one between the Mask of Truth and the frog's mask that I didn't get.
I like the one where you can lead around chickens while playing a flute and turn them into...
That's how you get the bunny hood, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. That was just a good amount of fun right there. I kind of started like bopping my head with the tune and just kind of...
And then suddenly the cuckoos are like, puff up into giant ones, and I'm just like, whoa, hang on.
The dancer's mask I always thought was really cool and creepy at the same time. Just it looks weird and the function is weird, and the scene for it is actually kind of mysterious in a way.
Tell you what, those dancing sisters are really strange, but so is the naked dancing man. Like,
I love that it's strange though. It makes it fun. If it was normal, I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
I enjoy that there is a bomb mask
on your face.
What?
It's the bust of the dancer that you wear on your face. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I enjoy the bomb mask because I like the idea that you're consciously wearing something that you're going to blow up.
And it's going to hurt you?
Your face.
Yeah.
It's like the
one
worst idea ever.
Yeah, that's the mask I've missed, I think.
And then...
I like the weird visuals of the mask, and Josh is just like, I like wearing a bomb on my face.
Yeah. And then... I like the idea that they wanted you to search for somebody that's missing, and they realized that Link doesn't know how to talk, so we're going to do literally the guy's face, so he can explain to whoever he's talking to that this is who he's looking for.
This is what we need for, instead of kids, the pictures of a missing kid on milk, just get a mask of the kid. Have you seen this child?
Just send them out to everybody, have them wear them.
Yeah.
That would work.
That'd be...
The all-night mask looks really cool. It's just that big giant, like a giant kind of patchy black mask with big eyes.
Yeah.
They all look really cool. I really, I would love, I know the Zelda series doesn't like reusing its mechanics, but I'd love another Majora's Mask thing.
Wait, they don't like reusing mechanics? There isn't a hook shot in every game?
No, I mean like the Ocarina.
Not every Zelda game is the same.
I'm being mean, and I'm also goading Josh along.
Yeah, that's my job. What are you doing?
Sorry, I didn't mean to tread on anyone's toes. I haven't gotten a lot of the masks yet, so I'm kind of digging just hearing everyone talk about them.
Yeah, that was...
I've only got like 4.
I have to agree, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole game, is the masks. So I'm going on my way trying to collect everyone.
I even love some of the throwaway ones. Like, literally, one of them is a mask used to get another better mask. Just to get a heart piece, It's not big, but I'm just glad it's a fun new way to play each time.
Yeah.
I'm pro mask.
Pro mask.
Pro mask.
And one thing I like is there's not really a big, concurrent plot throughout the game. It's just the side quests. There can't really be a big plot besides the overarching one. So it's not really, your traditional kind of fetch quest, your traditional kind of storyline where you gotta go meet a king here, go meet a person there. It kind of really changes up the entire pace of the game.
Yeah, and the way that you find out about things is by talking to the characters, so the best way to piece out Termina is by talking to them. So it's nice. It's a nice big jigsaw.
Yeah, and the side quests are each very unique and just kind of fun to kind of follow along.
Yeah.
What is everybody's favorite side quest?
my least favorite side quest.
Totally not the question, but go ahead.
The stupid Deku playground that you have to win
Oh,
every day, and it gets more obnoxious each time. I never got that heart piece, and I promise you I never will.
yeah, I agree with that, actually. I hate it.
That game is not...
Care. Never gonna do it.
It's just a heart piece. Go away.
I do like the one where you could play as a Goron, you have to weave your way through a maze, and the chick is totally flirting with you, the receptionist. The human receptionist wants to get her rocks off with a rock man.
Oh, no.
I just picture things, and it's very painful.
I'm so happy we went there.
I had to. It's been on my mind.
This has been bothering me for quite some time.
Okay. So when you hit up Snowhead, they kind of paint the picture a bit better. They don't really discuss it much when you're becoming a Deku, but when you go to Snowhead and you find out the great warrior Damu Daru, you find out that he died, and he died recently, and you're taking on his mask. That's kind of his physical form, I guess.
Right.
I love that.
And it gives you facial hair.
It does, and sideburns.
Sideburns.
I love that you go around and talk to the Gorons and like, pretty sure you're dead, but okay.
They're happy to have you back, and I just think it's really cool and that much more tragic that you're just kind of walking around as a dead guy with his face on, basically.
It's like the moon's coming down. There's a lot more that could happen.
It's so sad and tragic and kind of cool. It's different. Yeah. You know, not many games have you parade around as the dead hero.
The dead warriors of old.
Yeah, or the butler's son.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Right? Yeah. That's a good call. Again, it goes back to that idea that almost all these masks are intrinsically linked to
Link.
I hate you.
Oh my God.
My hate will never be stronger than this moment, Josh. May you remember this always.
You'll Zelda
but it's always
over it.
It's always connected.
Oh.
To something seemingly dark.
It's connected.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm being a snide child, but God damn it, Josh. God damn it. I'll be over in this corner. Just you guys. Whoa! Or I will horrify an animal. Apparently,
you like opened the doors to hell, and this hellhound just jumped out. Like, you didn't need to let out that much hate.
Wow. Who's puppy?
Those are mine. They didn't like you making fun of me.
I guess not. Very protective.
They're pro pun, so they're now anti Chris.
Never travel to Josh's house. Take it.
Puppies.
Yeah, I mean, all masks, dark things, not happy thoughts. That's where I was going.
It's all linked together.
Yeah, I hate you.
Yeah.
But it is.
But yeah, so far, like, do we have a sort of overarching opinion for the first half?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Did one of you, play it the first, like, this is your first time into it?
Yes, me, for this game.
Yeah, so I'm definitely curious what you think. Like, I think a bunch of us have experience with it, so I don't know if our opinion counts as much.
Wow,
I really like.
It's harsh.
Well,
yeah,
no,
Josh, you don't count.
I like fresh take.
This is a fresh
Josh,
take for me.
No, it's good. Yeah, but Josh, you hate everything, so no one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
That Uncharted 4 though was really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, but that's different. I will say, Majora's Mask is, like we were talking before about our experience with the series. I really love that it does so much different. To me, that makes it act probably a lot better than if I had only played Ocarina and then this. I would probably be a lot more annoyed with Majora's Mask. But for someone who, and I think this with a lot of major franchises, Nintendo franchises especially, I want them to I want them to take more risks, and that's not just put them in another world, just actually create a new mechanic to how the game functions. And I love that about this game. I love that I have to find masks, and that each one affects how I play the game. Even if I never need to put them on, I can, and then whole new either side events or conversations with characters, just even if it's a couple words of dialogue. Like every mask you wear, if you speak to the happy mask salesman, he has something different to say.
Yeah.
Random,
Yeah.
and it's not always that in depth, and it rarely is, but it's kind of cool to be like, oh, there's always something to discover in this game. And that it's a very little kind of almost childish glee thing of like, tee-hee, I found this too. But it's fantastic. It makes it actually fun, and instead of going through the same, I got to get out 8 dungeons, really it's 3 dungeons and then another 5 that'll open up after the first 3. I love that the formula is broken in a lot of ways with this game. It makes it a lot better.
Just kind of like what we're talking about with all the pain and death and gloom in the game. I do also love that, every time you put on a transformation mask, it hurts.
Yeah, again.
It seems to just physically affect them every time.
Just is vicious.
Link is the tragic hero.
Yeah, very much.
He suffers for his art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other things I definitely remember about the game, because I hated it, surprisingly less than this time mechanic, was this version of Wizrow.
Oh, really?
You fight him, I think, he's like the mid-boss in Snowhead.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and I just found him the biggest pain in the ass on the planet, just the teleporting and running around. I hate that kind of stuff on bosses.
Oh.
Yeah, but I guess in a weird way, I'm just kind of used to that with this series of like, right, then they pop up behind you. All right.
Are you used to wall masters too? Because I still hate those.
Oh, I mean, used to. That's a loose term. I guess I tolerate them because I know they're gonna be there.
Which one? Wall masters?
Do it enough time. It's like, hey, there's something in this room. It's like,
wall masters are the obnoxious hands that and grab you, and then bring you to another part of a dungeon. You go, thanks so much.
Often enough. Why?
Yeah, definitely not used to.
Hasn't been fun for the last 25 years.
Yeah, that. And again, yeah, wall masters are. Oh god, they're the worst.
And they're creepy.
And creepy. Yeah, they just scare you, man. That scares me.
It's like the hand in the toilet in the town. It's like, that's just weird.
That's the best side quest.
Oh.
Why is that there?
So weird.
It makes no sense. And you went to all this work to get a deed, and then you're gonna just hand it away so somebody can be in the toilet? And why is he in the toilet? Why isn't he like stuck on the toilet? Like he's literally inside the toilet.
I need paper. No sense. Like, I guess in the worst case scenario, if I had nothing to wipe my bum with, I mean, sure, yeah, give me a piece of paper. But why is this a side quest?
She's being nice. You stop.
Yeah, but I love that. Like, that was like basically your first side quest is to get this deed so you can be in a flower. And like you go through all of this, and like the culmination of that originally is like, well, all right, well, I'm gonna hand away this deed.
Oh, I like Anju's mom inside of the hotel. Her face is just kind of weirdly crooked.
Yeah.
How does your face grow into that shape, man?
I don't know how you get that nose. I don't know how that nose just becomes a thing in your life. Like, what did you do?
A lot of people are really harsh to Twilight Princess and some of the Zelda games for having really ugly NPCs, but I don't know. I think it's kind of better than just your generic-looking, good-looking NPCs.
Definitely.
Where, like, everyone's just kind of the same frame. You get this a lot in Final Fantasies, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that it's in Majora's Mask, it's also very different character model to character model. Like, the mother that we're talking about, I think, is really weird and grotesque, but in a great way. But then you have, again, the builders that were the same models from Ocarina, and they look kind of generic and bland.
Really contrasts nicely with Anju's pleasantness,
Yeah.
Yeah.
her smile and all the rest of it. And
you get Cafe's parents who both look weird in different ways. Like the old man just looks like a ghost, and the mother is just this kind of very large and imposing woman. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a really visually inspired game, and the characters and the NPCs are much better just for being unique and weird looking, as opposed to just your generic, two types of NPCs.
Yeah. It loses charm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think to answer your question overall, I think all of us are excited to keep going forward with it. And we've kind of gotten through that beginning part of like the slog through the intro, and now we're kind of the meat of the game with the puzzles, which universally is always considered the best. So I'm as the first time through, I'm really excited to see what else they have going forward with all the dungeons. And
oh, can we play just at the end here? Edit in the Astral Observatory song. I always like that one.
Somebody can do that. Whoever it is. That's
Yeah.
Mike, we're now talking to you. If you could do that,
Mike.
that'd be wonderful.
Mike, if you can hear us.
Hey, Mike.
All the listeners were confused.
Yeah.
It's like I'm talking to an omnipotent person, looking up in the sky. Do it, Mike.
He is our voice of God.
He can hear us. We can't hear him.
Exactly.
Best way.
But yeah, no, it's been a great game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Is it fun
yeah.
going through again for the second or third time now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
curious.
Yes.
No, but yeah, okay, there you go. But no, there are plenty of games that I love the first time through, and then going through every element again becomes just incredibly tedious. But that's why I was curious if it's still, a shit ton of fun, or if it's just kind of like an eh.
Kind of feels good to actually go in there even more seasoned, because you're a champion of the Groundhog Day loop.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so you already know all the shortcuts. That's the cool thing about Majora's Mask, that you learn, and as you learn, you get better, like we were saying. It's the nicest thing about it.
It's a great success, kind of, succeeding a game in succession.
Yeah, I think the best games, the things that I like about them are when you learn the tricks, and then you reapply the tricks, and then you're like, oh, this game's really good. Look at me, I've learned all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You become the master of time and space within this world.
Yep.
Yes.
Hero of time.
Doing it right.
So that's going to do it for us here. We would love to hear you guys' opinions. This obviously Zelda brings out wonderful emotions in most people, so we'd love for you guys to go on the boards, sound off there, or send us an email at retro@rpgfan.com. In the meantime, please go on to whatever you're using to listen to the podcast, and give us a review, a really good rating. That helps us out tremendously. And yeah, I guess, get excited for our next podcast about Zelda. We have a Persona 4 podcast coming up soon.
Nice.
June we're going to be playing Xenogears. We have tons of other side special content coming your guys' way, so it's going to be an exciting time for Retro. Now that we're done with our first year, I think we all have an understanding of how to do this, and hopefully everything just kind of gets better from here.
We finally figured it out, people.
I know. It's so much harder than just putting on a headset and talking.
Definitely.
Weirdly.
Excited.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you for listening, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.